right, so today we're diving into something different.
Different is right.
Yeah, we're looking at alternative investments. You've specifically mentioned wanting to explore beyond the typical stocks and real estate, so we're going on a treasure hunt.
A treasure hunt.
Yeah, kind of digging into some intriguing possibilities, 6 to be exact.
And this time, our treasure map, it's in Spanish.
Ooh, I like it.
We're looking at excerpts from an article titled Six Inversiones Altamente Rentables. That's 6 highly profitable investments.
I love that we're going international for this deep dive. Now, when we say alternative investments, we're talking about things that are a little less conventional. These often come with the potential for bigger wins, but also require a bit more caution, more research.
Exactly. Think of it like venturing off the beaten path. You might discover some hidden gems, but you also want to be prepared for the unexpected.
Exactly. And speaking of venturing off the beaten path, let's start with something you might be somewhat familiar with, but perhaps haven't explored in depth: cryptocurrencies.
Now everyone's heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but our source encourages us to think beyond these usual suspects. It's a vast and rapidly evolving landscape out there, thousands of other cryptocurrencies, each with its own unique features and potential.
Like trying to pick a single coffee bean in a giant warehouse full of them, it can definitely feel overwhelming, which is why it's crucial to remember a key point our source emphasizes: volatility.
Absolutely. Cryptocurrencies can be incredibly volatile. Their value can swing dramatically even within the span of a single day. It's a high-stakes game, and it's essential to approach it with caution.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. Our source is basically waving a giant caution flag, reminding us to only invest what we can comfortably afford to lose.
Exactly. Don't go betting the farm on a hunch. Now, moving from the world of digital currency to the equally fascinating realm of digital art, let's talk about NFTs.
Okay, NFTs. I have to admit, I'm still wrapping my head around this one. Can you give us a crash course in what an NFT actually is?
Absolutely. NFT stands for non-fungible token. Think of a dollar bill, you can trade it for another, and it's essentially the same thing. NFTs are the opposite. They're unique and can't be exchanged for something identical. Imagine a piece of art with a digital fingerprint. That proves its authenticity and ownership. That's essentially what an NFT is.
So it's like owning the original Mona Lisa versus a print. You own the bragging rights to the real deal, even if it exists digitally.
Exactly. And this concept of digital ownership has exploded in popularity. In 2021 alone, the NFT market generated a staggering $10 billion. That's a lot of digital art changing hands.
10 billion. Wow, that's not just a fad, that's a phenomenon. So for our listeners who are intrigued by the intersection of art and blockchain technology, NFTs might be a world worth exploring.
Absolutely. It's a rapidly evolving space, and it's fascinating to see how artists and collectors are using this technology to redefine ownership and value in the digital age.
Okay, so we've talked about owning digital currency and digital art. Let's shift gears now to something a bit more tangible: becoming an angel investor in startups.
Now, this one can be particularly exciting, especially if you're passionate about supporting innovation, being part of something from the ground up.
It's like being a venture capitalist, but on a smaller scale, right? You're providing funding for a startup company in its early stages, with the hope that it will grow exponentially in value.
Exactly. And there are platforms like AngelList and Seed Invest that have made it easier than ever for individuals to connect with promising startups.
So you don't have to be a millionaire to play the angel investor game. You can get involved with a relatively small amount of money.
True. But there's a crucial caveat here. Startups are inherently risky. The vast majority of them fail, meaning you could potentially lose your entire investment.
It's not a guaranteed path to riches, that's for sure. You really need to do your homework. Understand the business model, the team, the market, everything.
Absolutely. It's about carefully evaluating the startup's potential and understanding the risks involved. But with high risk can come high reward. If you pick the right horse, so to speak, the payoff can be enormous.
Okay, let's move on to another investment opportunity that's a bit more tangible, but perhaps lesser known: rare precious metals.
Now, most people are familiar with gold and silver, but our source points to 2 metals that are essential in industries like automotive: rhodium and palladium.
Right. They're used in things like catalytic converters in cars,
Yeah,
which help to reduce emissions.
exactly. And with the automotive industry shifting more towards electric vehicles, the demand for these metals is projected to increase significantly.
And as demand increases, so does the price, right?
Precisely. In fact, rhodium has experienced some of the most dramatic price surges in recent years. To give you a sense of the scale, in 2016, rhodium was priced at around $600 per ounce. Fast forward to 2021, and it reached an astronomical high of over $30,000 per ounce.
Wow, that's a slight price difference. Talk about a return on investment. But I imagine investing in these types of commodities also comes with its own unique set of challenges, right?
You're absolutely right. Commodity prices can be just as volatile as cryptocurrencies. They're influenced by factors like global supply chains, political instability, even things like weather patterns can have an impact.
So buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride.
And unlike stocks or bonds that you can easily buy and sell online, physical commodities like rhodium require storage and insurance. It's not something you could just stash under your mattress.
That's a good point. It's not as simple as clicking a button on your computer screen. Okay, let's shift gears now to something truly futuristic. Digital real estate in the metaverse.
This is where things get really interesting.
I know, right? It sounds like something straight out of Ready Player One. But the metaverse is quickly becoming less science fiction and more, well, reality.
Exactly. It's not just a passing fad. It's rapidly evolving, and major players are investing heavily in its development. But first, for those who haven't yet jacked in, let's clarify what the metaverse actually is.
Yes, please. Explain it to me like I'm 5 who also happens to be really into tech.
Imagine a persistent, shared virtual world. Think of it like a 3D internet, where you can interact with people, attend events, play games, and even buy and sell virtual property.
Wait, you're telling me I can buy a virtual house with real money?
That's exactly what I'm saying, and people are doing it. Platforms like Decentraland allow users to buy and sell virtual land and build all sorts of things on it. We're already seeing brands buying virtual ad space and opening up shops.
Okay, that's pretty wild. But does this virtual land actually hold any real-world value? Is this just a fad, or is it the future of, well, everything?
That's the million-dollar question, or perhaps the multi-billion-dollar question, because companies like Meta, formerly known as Facebook, are betting big on the metaverse. In fact, they even changed their entire company name to reflect this focus.
I have to admit, when I first heard about Facebook's rebranding, I thought it was a joke. But it clearly shows they're serious about this.
They're not alone.
Huh.
We're seeing a surge in investments from venture capitalists and tech giants alike. And as more people join these platforms, the demand for digital real estate is only going to increase.
Which, as we discussed with rhodium, means the prices could potentially go through the roof. It's like the California gold rush, but in a virtual world.
Precisely. While it's still early days for the metaverse, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially for anyone who's ever dreamed of being a virtual real estate mogul.
Okay, before we get too lost in the metaverse, let's move on to our final alternative investment. And this one's for all the wine lovers out there. Collectible wines.
Ah, yes. This one's near and dear to my heart.
I knew you'd say that. Now, when we talk about investing in wine, does this require a fancy cellar and a sommelier on speed dial?
Not necessarily. While having a temperature-controlled cellar can certainly help, there are now platforms that allow you to invest in fractions of bottles, or even entire barrels of rare and collectible wines.
So it's becoming more accessible to everyday investors, like the rest of these alternative investments we've been discussing.
Exactly. And the appeal is similar to investing in other collectibles like art or stamps. As certain wines become more scarce over time, their value can increase significantly. It's all about supply and demand, and the allure of owning something rare and sought after.
So it's like owning a piece of history that you can also drink.
Precisely. And unlike some investments that might feel a little intangible, you can actually enjoy a glass of your investment if you decide to cash out. Or, if you just need a good bottle to celebrate a successful investment.
That's what I call a win-win. Now, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored everything from digital currencies and digital art to the wild world of virtual real estate and the more tangible investment of collectible wines. Before we jump into the second half of our deep dive, I want to get your take on something. Of all the investments we've discussed so far, which one surprised you the most? Or has you the most intrigued?
That's a great question. It's tough to choose just one because they all offer such unique potential. It's really hard to pick just one because they all come with their own risks and rewards. You know what I mean?
Right.
The most intriguing one really depends on your individual risk tolerance and your investment goals. Someone who's comfortable with high risk, high reward might be drawn to the volatility of cryptocurrencies or the novelty of NFTs. But for someone who prefers a more tangible asset with a longer track record, collectible wines or rare precious metals could be a better fit.
Yeah, it's like choosing between a roller coaster ride and a leisurely stroll through a vineyard. Both can be enjoyable, but the experience is totally different.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to do your research. Understand the risks involved before committing any funds. Don't just jump into something because you heard it was the next big thing on social media. Take the time to understand the fundamentals, the potential downsides, and make sure it aligns with your overall investment strategy.
Yeah, knowledge is power, as they say. And our source really emphasizes that these alternative investments, they're not about getting rich quick. They require careful consideration and a long-term perspective.
Absolutely. And that's what I appreciate about this resource. It's not just about chasing profits. It's about encouraging a mindset of exploration and understanding when it comes to your finances.
Expanding your horizons and considering options you might not have even known existed.
Exactly. Now, to answer your question about which investment has me particularly intrigued, I'm personally fascinated by the metaverse. It has the potential to revolutionize the way we interact with each other and the world around us. And the investments we're seeing from major players like Meta suggest that this is just the beginning.
It's like the Wild West of the internet all over again, isn't it? Uncharted territory with endless possibilities. And a few tumbleweeds blowing in the digital wind.
Exactly. And while there are inherent risks, as with any new and emerging market, the potential rewards are significant. Just imagine a few years down the line, owning a virtual storefront on the main street of a thriving metaverse city.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. But seriously, this deep dive has really emphasized the importance of staying informed about emerging trends and investment opportunities. Who knows what the next big thing will be?
Precisely. That's why it's crucial to stay curious, keep learning, and never stop exploring new possibilities.
Words to live by. So as we wrap up this exploration of alternative investments, let's leave our listeners with some key takeaways. First and foremost, remember that alternative often means higher risk. These investments can offer the potential for big rewards, but they also come with greater volatility and uncertainty.
It's crucial to do your research, understand the risks involved, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Don't let the excitement of a potential windfall overshadow the importance of careful planning and due diligence.
Exactly. And remember, this is just a starting point. We've only scratched the surface of these 6 alternative investment opportunities. There's a wealth of information out there, and it's up to you to dive deeper, do your own research, and make informed decisions that align with your financial goals.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in the world of investing.
And on that note, let's leave you with one final thought to ponder. Of all the opportunities we've discussed today, from the fast-paced world of cryptocurrencies to the timeless allure of collectible wines, which one sparked your curiosity the most? Which one will you be researching further?
It's one thing to hear us talk about these investments, but it's quite another to delve in and explore them for yourself. Who knows, you might just uncover your next big investment opportunity.
Exactly. So there you have it. 6 intriguing alternative investments to get your wheels turning. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to building your financial future. So stay curious, keep exploring, and as always, happy investing. It's really fascinating to think about how our own comfort levels and curiosity can actually guide us towards different investment opportunities. Because what might seem risky and daunting to one person could be incredibly exciting and full of potential for another.
It's true. It really is a reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to investing. It's all about finding what aligns with your individual goals, your risk tolerance,
Yeah.
and even your own personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you're drawn to the cutting-edge world of NFTs and the metaverse like we were talking about. Or perhaps you prefer the tangible allure of rare metals or a fine vintage wine. The key takeaway is that the world of alternative investments, it really does offer something for everyone.
It does. And that's what makes this exploration so fascinating. It challenges us to think beyond those traditional boundaries and consider a vast range of possibilities when it comes to growing our wealth.
It's like we've been handed a compass and a map, and now it's up to us to kind of chart our own course. Are we going to play it safe and stick to familiar territory? Or are we ready to venture into those uncharted waters with the potential for greater rewards?
And the journey itself can be just as rewarding as the destination. That process of researching, learning and discovering new investment opportunities. It can be incredibly empowering.
It can be, yeah. It's about becoming more knowledgeable and confident in our financial decisions, regardless of which path we choose.
That's right. So whether you're intrigued by the idea of owning a piece of digital art, supporting a promising startup, or adding a rare bottle of wine to your portfolio, the most important step is to just take that initial leap and start exploring.
I completely agree. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of alternative investments, Remember, stay curious, do your research, and never be afraid to think outside the box. After all, the most rewarding discoveries often lie beyond that well-trodden path. This has been really interesting.
It has.
Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.